This is massive for us, huge. It's Monday morning, we're in the yard, and they say that pressure bursts pipes or makes diamonds. On this occasion, it has unfortunately bursted a pipe. In the cold freeze of last night, one of the supply pipes to our neighbours Celtic has busted, and now there's water flying into our yard, and neither them nor us has had the time to lag the new pipes which have been fitted against the fence because we are both so busy. Out the front of the yard, we're having a little clean up. This is the salt we dropped over the weekend to ensure that the lorries leaving the yard, which will have water on their wheels because they've just been cleaned on our lovely wheel wash, did not freeze in the sub-zero temperatures. And now, let's jump in one of them lorries and head out to a job. This is a simple job as any 8x4 tipper lorry can do. Muck away from a house builder site where we're being loaded with a 14-ton machine. Taking a look around our forklift where the transmission is back in. Transmission is working perfectly, thank you HL Smith, but we have a slight electrical problem. When we change over, we have forward, and then we reconnect the other way, and then we have reverse, but we don't have both at the same time. We're trying to find the electrical fault, but it turns out when it was parked up for so long, water was going into the control unit, and some of the relays where they were placed within the control units, the water went in and sat, and as you can see, they've completely decayed. Hopefully, once we change some of those, we can get our trusty old forklift back working. And now, let's head to central London and see how we're getting on at the penthouse project. Chris is working on the water supply pipes. The start of the incoming water go up, across and through the ceiling to the utility. From the utility, there'll be a feed to the water cylinder, bathrooms and kitchen. Swabek is fitting jackboard to the ply on the bathroom walls. We're using 1-inch screws with specialist washers. These washers ensure the screws do not go straight through the jackboard, but fix them in place. We're closing the ceiling in the living room using 2 layers of 12.5mm plasterboard. The media wall is also being boarded, but with 1 layer of plasterboard as we fitted ply beneath to create a firm fixing for a TV and any storage unit. Meanwhile, back at the Ashville yard. That is something that you never want to see in the yard. The British Transport Police have arrived with Network Rail to conduct some training. One of the staff from Network Rail had to renew their competency, and British Transport Police came down because they worked together to work out how they can access the main line as quickly as possible in the case of an emergency. As in our steel storage area, we left an adequate gap to get to the gate which accesses the main line. They had no problems. The training has taken place, and now the competency has been renewed. Nice. In Weekly a couple of weeks back on Christmas Day, you saw Mumsy came to mind to have something to eat, and she was very upset that I only had 1 copy of Rail Director. Well, Rail Director have seen Ashville Weekly, and they are coming to the table, and they're rummaging around in their warehouses and stockrooms, and they're finding as many copies as possible of Rail Director, so my mum, the head of distribution in St. Lucia, can distribute them as she wishes. So Mumsy will be very happy about that. Once again, it's a strange thing that happens in my life. Things which at a time appear to be, and they're extremely stressful, they take their toll on you as a human being, and you think this is the worst thing that's ever happened. I cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. There are glimpses when these things happen of light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes it's like it closes and then you don't see it, and then there's a glimpse and you do, and then you do, and then you don't. and then it's closed for a while. But most of the time in my life thus far, things which I thought at the time to be the worst possible thing ever, which I struggled immensely to cope with, in the end have been the best things that ever happened. Now, while there is a lot going on here, and there's a lot going on in the British economy as a whole, and it's been very difficult for me to stay positive because of what I'm going through, I have to believe that this being thus far in my life the worst thing that's ever happened business-wise, there are much worse things that can happen out there, maybe it opens doors. One door closes, another door opens. And it's going to be a big year, I believe, 2025. But what does that mean? What does it mean it's going to be a big year? It could be a transitional year where I expand, close some sectors and move into other sectors, genuinely make a difference and do more which makes me feel happy and more which I want to do as opposed to I have to do. Who knows? Just going to take every day as it comes. It's Tuesday morning and we're in the yard and I've been able to park the north face and put my fleece back on. The temperature's increased to about 5 degrees. At first light, we tried to tackle the cutting edge of the 586 loading shovel, but unfortunately we had the wrong cutting edge and the wrong bolts. So I've taken a picture and they're going to send a replacement to us as soon as possible. When we're done with that, we started work on the L860. Now, you remember in Weekly a couple of weeks back, we put the scraper bars inside. The scraper bar bolts begun to come loose, but we don't want to use the bucket with the scraper bar bolts anymore. So we tightened up the bolts and then we took that bucket off so it's ready the next time we need it. And now we've put the other bucket back on without the scraper bars and we're just checking, greasing and ensuring everything is fine before we send the L860 back into the yard to get working. Keep having people message me on a personal note, people I know and people who I work with, and said they've seen a number of videos and people are saying things and there's rumors and they keep saying, why don't I defend myself? Why don't I say something? Why would I? You don't defend yourself from an opinion. If somebody has something to say, they're entitled to say it. And if people feel the need to comment on it and give their opinion, that's life. That's the way it is. Especially if you put out videos to the masses and you share your journey, not every comment or interpretation is going to be positive. So it's something that you need to learn to deal with and take on the chin and know that it's never going to stop. That is just the way it is. And now we're going to head out with a driver. We have a full-size grab in for maintenance work, so today Tarandeep is in the baby grab. We have a small delivery of sharp sand, which is perfect for the baby grab, as the tippers and full-size grabs have other work to do, bulk shifting and supplying. The maximum we can legally get on the baby grab is 9 tons. The forklift is back. She's alive. Look at that. At long last, the forklift is back and working well. With the forklift now working, it means we can move the Jersey barriers round a lot easier and not waste our time using lorries or trying to shift it round or use the grapple bucket on the 914. We're probably going to blast off the 914 towards the end of the day and give it another clean and start servicing it tomorrow. Then after that, when the cutting edge arrives, we'll do the cutting edge on the 586, and then hopefully towards the end of next week or the beginning of the week after, we're going to tackle the volumetric with the engine gone and finally get that lorry back on the road. The sun is in the sky, it's warming up, and it's not raining. slowly, slowly catch a monkey. We are getting there. Oh, the wellies. Very good. Give us a wave.
We're good.
It's Wednesday. We're in the yard. To be more specific, we are in the video room preparing for the weekly, which is coming out on Sunday. The lorries today have a job which I would call perfect work, which I wish we did every day in and day out, every working day. We're going to a site and we're taking out an as-dug material. We're removing it and tipping it at a site, and as we tip it, we're reloading with recycled material and going straight back to the same job to tip that material and load again. So the lorries will be going between two destinations, loaded both ways. Now you may ask
why we don't come back to the yard to take the 6F5 which we have stockpiled here.
Now while that's our material, it would mean that we would drop 2 loads a day, making the journeys to come back to the yard, which takes us out of the continuous return loads. So we're actually paying more money for it, but because we're doing more work, we actually make more money. So let's see how the lads are getting on. We have 40 loads to come out and 40 loads to go in today. There are 6 lorries on the job as we don't want to flood or block up either of the sites. The 6F5 is being used for temporary hard standing, so the machine immediately moves the material further into the site where it can be distributed by another machine. As soon as we tip, we spin around and get loaded. It's a short trip to the recycling facility where we're tipping in a newly made segregated bay just for us.
Perfect.
We get loaded and back to the site to repeat. I'm going to have to concede that the material build-up for the wheel wash is not going to work properly in the winter months. If it was summer and the yard was completely dried out, we would be okay. Because it's January and who knows when the rain will stop, probably end of February, who knows with the way the seasons are changing. I'm going to have to pull out that material and we're going to have some ramps which are similar to the ramps to get onto the wheel wash. That should help and it should stop dragging so much of the sand and stone onto the wheel wash. But I don't want a brand new set. If I wanted a brand new set, the best thing to do would just be to get Bazza to make it, because Welder Fab is the man. He could make that in his sleep. But it's temporary, so I'm going to need one second hand, possibly out of a quarry or somewhere like that. Somebody who was using wheel wash or was using a ramp and they're not using it at the moment, because we could actually give them back afterwards, but I'd prefer to just buy them because ramps are always going to come in handy. They need to probably be between 400 and 500 mil high at the highest point. It would be better if they were 2 individual ones, but if it was one complete unit, it wouldn't matter as long as it was wide enough that everybody could get onto it. And then we probably put some jersey barriers on the side of it to try and give some guidance and ensure that nobody fell off it. Not saying that anybody here would, but things like that have happened in the past with our lorries. Now let's head to the Central London Penthouse project. Dudek has been shopping this morning and bought plasterboard and timber. We're working to close the sloped elements of the ceiling in the living room. We can't simply attach the plasterboard, so need to create a frame from 4x2 timber, which at the top and bottom are fixed to the steels, and then joists run between them. The metal stud system can then be fixed to this, and the plasterboard can be installed. Been thinking about the roll-on, roll-off and how much more it could possibly do. At the moment, we use it for plant hire, deliveries, bagged material, delivering concrete blocks, 40-yard bins. We use it pretty much across the board. It's a very helpful utility vehicle. But one thing I can't believe I forgot is the fact that I specified it to be able to pull a trailer behind, which again could add a new dynamic to it. That is the reason why I spec'd a 450 engine and not a 410, because I could have easily got away with a 410, but I thought to myself, if you're gonna have to pull something behind, then you're gonna need a bit more. So I'm having a look for a trailer at the moment and thinking what we could possibly put on the back of it and what other services we could provide to our clients and how it can help us generally. Instead of doing one trip, perhaps we can do two. What do you think? Anyway, I can see that a delivery has arrived, and I believe it is the correct cutting edge for the 586 loading shovel. And we can then try to send this one back. It's Thursday morning. On my way into the yard, having some quiet time, and I'm thinking about the last couple of years, what's happened at Ashville and me personally. Before 2019 and leading up to that, started doing construction many years ago, made the switch over and started working with lorries in around 2013, 14, started concrete in like 16, 17, and the company grew year on year organically. Moved into the old yard, we had one of the plots, then we moved over into rail. Everything's still going relatively well. We're on the up. The company is growing, the staffing's growing, the fleet is growing, we're making ends meet, we're paying our bills. Then COVID hits us, and COVID was a challenging time for everyone, whether that be in business or personally. And I was thinking about the lovely L860 delivered to us 9 months late. Had it been delivered to us previously, we would have been able to use it and generate some revenue. You'll see that one of the first videos we ever did of the first train in the yard, that wasn't our machine offloading the train, but I had ordered the L860. The L860 is sat up in Biggleswade at Liebherr. Now, I had paid a 60 grand deposit on it. Liebherr in the UK have to pay Germany for it, and now the machine is just sat there. So I had a choice, either take the machine or lose our 60 grand deposit. So I had to take the machine. Click here to watch the video where we accept delivery of the machine. But then the machine got parked up for months and didn't generate any revenue. And that machine cost 8.5 grand a month. And COVID steps in and work falls off a cliff. We managed to stay open, to just try to break even, but it was a very challenging time. We come out of COVID, remaining optimistic. We had a couple of good projects. One, when you saw the 6C coming into the yard, which was going into HS2. We begin to try to recover from the aftermath of COVID. Then we try to enter into a partnership because I was very gullible. And that partnership did not work out, which cost us ridiculous amounts of money, huge losses, and forced us into a restructure. After the restructure, we're back in recovery mode, and we're spending a lot of money setting up the railway yard to ensure it runs well. We have all the bays, we did the sprinklers, the wheel wash, concreted certain areas. We set up the bagging plant. We got ready and we said, yes, this is going to be it. We're after COVID, failed partnership. This is going to be a new dawn. I've got the confidence to spend money here. And then the yard is sold. When the yard is sold, I need to look for an alternative. I find one, but then the cost to move, and we lose all the money that we spent in the old yard. We begin the infrastructure work, and then we find ourselves in a problem with the old landlord, who's one of the biggest investment companies on the planet. Then the work falls off a cliff. Everybody says they're waiting for the election. The election comes. Then they say they're waiting for the budget. None of the big projects start. The budget comes, actually makes things worse, and people have no confidence in the market, and the work doesn't kick off, and tax for businesses increase. We kind of spent the last 5 or 6 years just ducking and diving and trying to survive, and we spent everything from before 2019 growing the company and doing well, and since then nothing of any merit has happened. Now, this probably hasn't translated because I try to be optimistic. I know I do complain a bit.
I know all the tricks.
I've lost everything.
This is fantastic.
It's driving me mad.
I cannot understand how these people are in business.
I'm vexed.
The decisions.
I'm furious.
I will not be managed.
They don't deliver.
I am so angry.
Technically, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying what happened. And if I'm saying what happened and it sounds like I'm complaining, I'm not sure what other way I could deliver it, because it's very difficult to deliver extremely bad news which affects you while smiling at the camera or pretending. And you know, I guess everybody wants me to keep it real and tell them what happened so they can try to understand and come on the journey with us. As a moment of reflection, as I sit here, it's been a challenging few years. Now, let's be honest. One could argue that at points I have been distracted and I've taken my eye off the ball. I understand that that's a fair point. But when I was doing that, I was doing it in order to try to push the brand forward because so much else was going wrong. Let's just put the cards on the table and be honest. Yes, I went and filmed a TV show. Yes, I did. Yes, I'm doing a lot of videos. I think to myself, well, how am I going to get the brand out there? How are people going to know who we are? I can sit there and go over spreadsheets repeatedly and walk up and down in the yard and try to streamline and every single tire and puncture. No, this tire can be repaired. But at the end of the day, if nobody knows who we are, our digital footprint isn't increasing, and we haven't been in it as long as some of our competitors, how else am I going to get the name out there? Yes, I could go to more meetings. Yes, I could try to go to open days to network, but in the most non-confrontational point in the finger way, a lot of large jobs, pardon me, no large projects or jobs are, in my opinion, are won at an open day where you go and network and discuss business. Business doesn't work like that. It does not happen like that, irrespective of what people tell you. It's relationships. Now, I could have spent more time trying to grow those relationships, but there are a lot of closed doors because there are relationships which are 20 years in the making, and I'm not exactly going to be able to crowbar those people away from each other, especially if the people with the relationships are doing a good job. There's absolutely no reason to switch what they're doing. So I have tried my best to diversify and shine a spotlight on the business as best I can. Was that the right or wrong decision? I guess that's open to people's opinions. What I need to do is think about the best way to tackle this moving forward, taking into account everything which has happened in the last few years and trying to have a bird's eye view, but it's difficult when you're stuck in the detail with your head down like this. But what I will tell you is it's not easy. Even though occasionally something good happens,
it's always very short-lived. And just because something good happened, it doesn't actually mean that there was a monetary value attached to that. And irrespective of what's going on and how good things look, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. That's it for the rant in the car on Thursday morning. We're on the way to the yard.
New cutting edge has now been fitted on the 586, which is ready for work. The bucket itself is still fantastic. Thank you, Welder Faber. And behind me over here, we have the bagging plant, which is not connected as of yet. Now, if you remember a while back, and continuously, I keep telling you about our discussions with the council about concrete in the yard. Well, the council got back to us yesterday, and I'm happy to say they have approved concrete in the yard is in the interest of rail, and it also helps us keep the road clean. They had a few comments around our temporary structure for the workshop, which they're saying we may need to apply for planning permission for because of the way it's built. And they also said that if the bagging plant is stored here, that's not in the service of rail. However, if the bagging plant is working, it is therefore in the service of rail, because the material which comes off the train, the volume of it goes into here, then goes out on the road. We can begin to make a plan to start concrete in the rest of the yard, which is fantastic. And the council have given us some time to do this as well, which I thought really shows that the council are open to helping businesses move forward and working with us. So a bit of good news here today in the yard. Got to do a bit of maintenance on the wheel wash. It has been flat out busy and it is working, but I realized earlier that the water was very high. And when the water is sitting high, it actually submerges the jets. And that was because the sump wasn't returning the water to the tank. It wasn't doing that because the sump pump was blocked. So we've opened it up, we've got inside, and we're removing all of the loose debris and sand, and we're also having a clean up of the area at the front. Then we're going to bring the sweeper over, and the sweeper will suck out all the water next to and around the sump pump. Then we'll be able to get in and clean the filters. We don't want to turn it on and the muck goes straight back through it right away. So we're going to clean out all the areas along the side here and make sure everything is out of it. Then we're going to turn it back on. So in the meantime, you can see over there, we're having to reverse the lorries into the small area here and blasting off all the wheels manually. Yeah, it's flying, working well. Much better. Cleaning perfectly now.
Need to set aside some time to set the bagging plant up properly. We need to remove the sweeper and clean up the area and put a little bit more concrete down, but we're not a million miles away from doing it. And it got me thinking about the material we're going to put in it, because we've kind of changed the business model now in that we want to rely more on recycled material, as opposed to, in round numbers, going to collect a load of a 2 to 6 limestone for £100 a ton at one of the majors, and then going to sell it for £95 a ton. We want to focus on taking screenable material, not inert muck or clay, which you can't do anything with. We want to focus on materials which can be recycled. Therefore, we could take them at a reduced rate from the site, and then we can also supply them at a reduced rate. Now, the main obstacle with supplying more recycled material are engineers. If your engineer on the job ain't going to have it, there's nothing we can do. People are using it as piling mats, and on a lot of the sites we're working on at the moment, because the weather's so bad, they're putting down 6F5 material just to create a temporary roadway so lorries can get in and out. We need engineers to allow it to get specified more on projects. They have come around a little bit to our way of thinking. For instance, if there's like a 600 fill, they'll let us do 300 of a 6F5. What's strange is, working with screenable materials and recycled supply, your revenue is actually less, but your profit is actually more, and it's a lot better for your eco footprint and sustainability. So that'll be the focus on the business moving forward. We'll be pushing actively to make the shift towards it. There are some instances where we're not going to get out of primary material. We're going to have to use primary sand and primary gravel to make concrete. There's nothing we can do about that. And we are going to need primary type 1 for some of our projects. That is accepted. But other than that, there'll be a push towards recycled material. So it's very fitting at the moment that we're heading down and we're going to be removing screenable material from site. Friday, we're in the yard. We have all the machines parked up in the new plant hire area. They are fully dieseled, greased and ready to go out on hire. Towards the end of last year, we were flying. All the machines were out, but they came back in at Christmas period, and slowly they're beginning to go back out now. Ben is in a grab lorry today because we're busy on the grabs, and we have one concrete lorry parked up because there's a problem with the pump. This pump has cracked, so whenever there's water in the system, it begins to fly out here and we can't pour any concrete. Now, if this was metal, we would have tried to weld it just to keep it out on the road working, but it's cast, so we can't. So we've ordered another one today, which should be here on Monday, but it unfortunately was £900. When that comes in, we'll try and fit it Monday, Tuesday, and then have this lorry back out on the road also. It's Saturday, and I'm in the yard. I'm hiding at the back of the workshop while we continue with what we normally do on a Saturday, cleaning rubbish out the cabs, greasing cranes, and checking wheel nuts. There are a lot of whispers at the moment about Heathrow and the third runway. Now, I've been listening to these whispers for the last 5 years, but what I'm hearing now is this is actually going to happen. If the Heathrow third runway does happen, this is
massive for us, huge. I believe they'll have to redirect the M25 and the M4. They'll be doing compulsory purchases in the area. They'll need billions of tons of material. But my understanding is they are not allowed to increase road traffic. And as we are in close proximity to Heathrow, we do not count as road traffic because we can bring the material in by train. So we'll be in a prime position to bring material in and supply, and then the waste from Heathrow to put it on the train for it to be taken away. It's all still whispers at the moment, but it looks like within the next couple of years, it could become a reality.
It's Monday morning and we're in the yard and they say pressure bust pipes. There we go. It's Monday morning and we're in the yard and they say that pressure burst pipes will make diamond. It's Monday morning, we're in the yard and they say that pressure bursts pipes or makes diamonds. It's Monday morning and we're in the yard and they say that
I'll try not to block the TV. Finally attacked that. Oh, sun was on me. Okay. Oh, what's the day? What day is it? Wednesday. Hello, Ollie. I'm trying to show. No, it's all right. I'll squeeze in, Ollie. Sure. I'm a bit heavy at the moment, but I'll squeeze in. You're gonna have to bear with me. Let me just double check that. And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 224. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down here for last week's episode, which was number 223. Now I'm going to walk off. You stay here because the things will be on screen for 20 seconds, yeah? Stay there.